Hi everyone, it's Barry here from Mitosu Crafts. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for joining me for this week's Fun Fold Friday video tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can create a butterfly pop-up card. So you've got an exciting card with some pop-up mechanisms for you to have a try out yourself. I will be going through it step by step with the scoring and the cutting, so yeah, just keep an eye out on the screen because measurements will pop up down there as well in centimeters and in inches. I'm going to be using a variety of Stampin' Up products as well, all of which can be purchased from us via our online shop, details of which can be found on the screen right now. That's our website, so you can go over to mitosucrafts.com, but you can go over to this one right here, which is mitosucrafts.com/shop, okay, and you can order your Stampin' Up craft supplies from us. So if you live in the UK, France, Germany, Netherlands, Austria, Belgium or Ireland, you can purchase from us via our online shop. So yeah, do please head over to that link on the screen if there's anything which is added to your wish list. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be using a variety of products which I will show you in a second. But for now, I'm going to crack on. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's Fun Fold Friday and the butterfly pop-up card. So these are the products I'm going to be using. So stamp set wise, I'm going to be using some of the sentiments here from the Friends for Life stamp set, along with some of the Unbounded Love dies, which are these ones right here. Okay, so some of the Unbounded Love dies is what I'm going to be using for sentiments to go on from the Friends for Life set. I'm also going to be using the Spotlight in Nature dies as well, just for some embellishments and stuff on the front. So they are the stamp sets which I'm going to be using. I'm also going to be using some of these right here. So I've got the Fully Flowering Ephemera pack. So I'm going to be using some of the elements from that. And I'm also going to be using some of the butterflies here from the Paper Butterflies Accents pack as well. So these are already pre-cut stuff. So you can go ahead and you can colour, leave them white. These are obviously already pre-cut in images. So very easy, very good stuff if you want some quick, simple cards are these two packs. So again, we've got the Fully Flowering Ephemera pack and we have got the Paper Butterfly Accents pack. Cardstock, I'm going to be using Wild Wheat. So this is a colour I don't use that often actually, but it coordinates perfectly with the Wildly Flowering Designer Series paper, which is this one right here. So I'm going to be using Wild Wheat as my card base for this one. And this is the Wildly Flowering 12x12 Designer Series paper pack. Now obviously I've got some of them which are already half because I've already gone and used some of it. So this is one of the patterns which I'm going to be using today. So I'm going to be using front and back. I'm also going to be using this one here, the Moody Mauve one with the flowers. I'm just going to be using this side here. And these are the other pieces of other patterns which you've got in the pack as well. So you've got these lovely blues and greens and whites going on. So you've also got the Wild Wheat coming in with the blues. So it does work and coordinates really well with all of this. So as I said, this is the Wildly Flowering Designer Series paper pack, 12x12 sheets of paper as well. So that's those sides. And then you've got some simpler sides. So that's a pattern which I'm using, but just in the Moody Mauve. That one's really nice. What's on that side there? I see, it's a shame, isn't it? But both sides are really pretty. That one, and we've got that one right there. And the back side is just a blue. So that's the paper pack which I'm going to be using as well. So the pieces of cardstock which you will need, so again, this is the Wild Wheat. I've already gone and cut all of these pieces down to size. So if you want to follow along with me, I would suggest you cut all of your pieces, and then you can then go through with me as I then cut and score throughout. So you can pause, rewind, and like I say, the measurements will pop up in centimeters and inches. They'll pop up on the screen somewhere around about down here as I'm mentioning them as well. Okay, so I've got my Wild Wheat piece which is measuring. I'm going to be working in inches for this video, but again the centimeters are down below. So this is going to be measuring 5.5 inches by 8.25 inches. And you want to score this in half at 4 1/8 of an inch. I've also got myself one piece here which is measuring 3 inches by 3 inches. I've also got myself two pieces measuring 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches, so 2 of those. And I will also need 2 pieces measuring 2 3/4 of an inch by 2 3/4 of an inch, so 2 of those as well. And then finally we will need 4 pieces measuring 2 3/4 of an inch by 3.5 inches. Okay, so that's everything which you will need for your cardstock. So I will go through the scoring with you shortly. For your designer series paper, you're going to need to have 4 pieces of pattern paper. Okay, these are measuring 2.5 by 3 1/4, and these pieces basically are going to be going on here as your mat and layers onto these the 4 pieces. So I've got 2 where I've got 2 of one and then 2 of another, so you may want to have 2 different types. That's those ones. And I've got 3 pieces here of the same pattern, which is measuring 3 7/8 of an inch by 5 1/4. 2 of them are going to be for the inside and 1 of them is going to be for the front. So as I said, go ahead and cut all of those pieces, and then you can then follow along as I'm doing this. But we're going to take the card base first, and I've got this one here. This has been scored at 4 1/8 of an inch, and we're just going to fold this in half, and I'm going to fold and burnish like so. Next thing, I'll just pop that to one side. Next thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the larger one of these squares, so the one which is the 3 by 3 piece, the one which is on its own. I'm going to grab our trimmer, and we're going to want to score this at 5/8 of an inch on 2 sides. So one side here and one side here, and then we're going to then score diagonally down the middle. So 5/8 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch, and then diagonally. So we're going to go from that side to this side here. So that's how that piece should look, like that. Now whilst we're doing the squares, we may as well grab these squares out as well, so the 2 smaller squares as well, and you want to do it exactly the same measurements. So 5/8 of an inch on 2 sides, and then score it diagonally. So that's those 2 pieces done right there for you. Okay, next thing we want to do is take the 2 pieces which was measuring the 1.5 by 3.5, and we want to score this at 5/8 of an inch on one side, rotate it round and score at 5/8 an inch again, and then at 1 1/4 inches, and then do that on the second piece as well. And that's now all of your scoring done for all of your pieces with the trimmer for the time being. Okay, so what we want to do first is we want to take the larger one of the squares which we've already gone and done. We're going to grab ourselves a ruler and a pen, and you want to mark this at 1 inch from the edge on both sides. So you've got the diagonal line which is intersecting down here. We want to mark from 1 inch from this edge in, and then 1 inch from this edge into here. Okay, so I've got myself 2 little pen marks there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then line my ruler up along those marks at an angle. And then I'm going to pop a pen mark here and a pen mark there. If it's easier to draw all the way through it, you can do. Just, I find it easier this way. So you've got yourself a mark at the top here, and now you've got myself a mark at the bottom here. Grab yourself your trimmer again, and then you want to then just cut away along those marks. So line those marks up with your channel in your trimmer and cut them away. And you can get rid of this piece here. We don't need this piece. So now what you want to do is fold and burnish these pieces. And we basically now want to grab our snips and do a little bit of cutting. So I want to now cut in up to that score line like that, and then do it exactly the same the opposite way round. This time I'm kind of like going, so you've kind of just created yourselves these two little tabs right here and here. So what you can do is, once you've gone ahead and done that, we can then stick this to the inside of the card. But what you're going to need to do first, if you want to do this part, is stick your designer series paper onto the inside. So pick your pattern paper which you want for the inside first, and then stick them in. Because if you stick them in afterwards, obviously you won't be able to, because you'll have too much of the mechanism. So I'd recommend you go ahead and stick those in now, and then I'll show you how to stick this in. So once you've got that piece in, we're going to take this one here again, and we're going to pop some glue along both of these tabs right here. So don't go too heavy on this. If you're using Tombow, it's a very good glue. Fold your tabs back a little bit. And then we want to line that score line up with the center score line, and these point up with the top of the cards like that. And I like to just grab my bone folder sometimes and just burnish the glue in a little bit. It helps spread it out in between. And if you've done that bit correct, as you then fold this over, that then folds down, and you shouldn't have nothing sticking out the top. If you do have something sticking out the top, no worries, just grab your scissors and just snip it off. It's not an issue. Okay, and that's how that part does. Obviously with pop-ups, just take your time making sure everything is stuck and you're happy that it's dry before you really move on to the next part, because you're going to be putting too much strain and pressure on stuff. So if you find it's unsticking, you're just not letting it dry enough. So just take your time with this. Okay, so that's the first part done. Then what we want to do is we want to grab ourselves the these pieces right here. So these are the 1.5 by 3.5 pieces. So we're just going to fold and burnish both of these pieces as well. And then what we're going to do now is we will need ourselves a little scoring tool. So I've got one for my Simply Scored, and we're going to, the two pieces are at the top here. We're going to line this edge up along this edge here, and then along the bottom. So basically going to align this up along here and here. Just manually at the moment, just eyeballing this. And then with your scoring tool, then just pop a score line in. Like that. Okay. And then you can then go ahead and then snip off. Now I would suggest you snip off this side of the score line rather than that side, because it doesn't matter how much you really snip off, but just be that side of it, and then that's would then stick on. So we can then grab ourselves some glue on this and then stick this to that line, making sure everything's lined up as best as you can. So you've got an edge on an edge, edge on an edge down the bottom down there. And then once you've done that, do it exactly the same for the opposite side. And then just whilst you're just double check that everything is closing at the moment. Don't worry, these will be sticking out because we haven't stuck them in as of yet. Okay, so that bit is good. Leave that to dry for the moment. Grab these pieces right here, so the two smaller pieces. So these are the 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And what you want to do is just grab your scissors, and we basically want to cut off this bottom corner like this. So it doesn't. We just want to go through that cross, and then just snip it away. Then fold and burnish. And once you've done that, just have a little look at the back side and make sure that nothing here is interfering with this score line. So if it's a little bit close, just go ahead and then just snip a little bit more off, just so that you kind of got yourself a little bit of room from that score line. because if you've got stuff over the score lines, it's just going to interfere with the folding later on. So we're just making sure that everything is away. And then the other side, you just want to cut in. Now I would say cut in quite deep on this one and cut like that to create a tab. Okay, and you want to do that on both pieces. So that's those two pieces are done like that. So now just going to bring it over our card again. So these pieces are nice and stuck. And then what we want to do is we want to pop some glue on this tab areas, on these two tabs. I'll just show you first. And then we're going to stick it down so that the diagonal line is going out of the card. And we would then want to then stick that down so that along the edge of this card right here, and bring the point over to this side like that. So it's going to be kind of going to get stuck down like that. Oh, my finger's in the way. Like that. Okay, make sure the diagonal line is going out this way, and then once you stuck that down, you want to do the other side as well. So just some glue on this and then stick that down. I'm just going to gently just make sure that all folds over and then just stick everything down. So at the moment, don't worry, this flap is normal coming up like that, okay? Okay, little tip for you here. If when you're folding it out flat, you're finding that some of the score lines aren't quite sitting flat as well, don't worry about that. We need to make it flat because that otherwise this is going to cause issues later on. But don't worry, what you want to do is you just want to just grab your bone folder and kind of just re-pop the score line in and make the score line where it wants to go. It will just make things a bit easier. So don't, if you find that it's not quite sitting right, just work with it. Bone folder it out because we're going to pop, stuff is going to get popped on top of this anyway. So we want to make sure everything is kind of going flat in the end. So just work with it. And do exactly the same the opposite side. So that one's gone in a little bit better that second time round. So it all depends, just make sure whether or not you've got everything stuck. But if it doesn't quite look like it's sitting correctly, just re-burnish in your score line. It's easier to do it now than when it's completed and it not sit correct. So once we've done that part, grab our glue again. We want to pop some glue on this tab here, fold it over, and then keep it flat and then stick it to the back. And that there is your pop-up mechanisms. Okay, so good. So that's where we are. What we can do now is these 4 pieces right here. We can now stick these to the inside of the card. So first things first is we're going to work on one side, and then whatever you do on this side, we repeat onto the other side here. So glue is going to go on this panel, this triangle here, like so. Grab this, and then we just basically want to line this up along the edge of where that score line is, and then at the edge down here as well, and then stick it so we're lining up against this score line and this score line here, sticking it down, but only glue on that top triangle. Stick that down, and then let's just have a little look, and then that folds in like so. Perfect. Then we do exactly the same at the bottom part. We want to put some glue on this part, like that. Grab your next piece and stick it so this lines up, is parallel with that one, and this is the same down here. Stick that like so. And we'll just check that, and then that pops out like so. What we'll do exactly the same now on the opposite side. And that's that part of the pop-up done. Okay. So it should look like that. And obviously this is where it's kind of got the butterfly name, because this is like two wings. Looks like a butterfly. Okay, so what we are done now, hopefully you're all up to that one, and then what we can do now is decorate. So this is where our other piece of design series paper comes in, so we can stick one there, and stick those two pieces right there. Now just for some decoration, this is where the ephemera packs are coming in handy. Those are butterfly accent packs. And again, I used the Spotlight in Nature dies. Now, I had some of these which were off-cut from a project I've done recently, so I'm now just using them. I've got myself my Sentiment, my Happy Birthday, which was from the Friends for Life, and then using the dies from the Unbounded Love dies, which is for this one right here. And then I've got my ephemera packs. So I've got some flowers like this, like that. I've got some of the butterflies, and I've got some bits right here. And then I've got myself one from the butterflies from that pack as well. I've then just gone and coloured with some Stampin blends here, just in the blues. So there was like so that will be Azure Afternoon, and I think I've got some bit of Pool Party going on there, and maybe a bit of Balmy Blue, just to give us three tones. So that's how I've gone and coloured that. So for decoration on this, we're going to stick the Sentiment is going to go on here. Now it's already got quite a lot of height to it anyway, so what's a little bit more height? Double checking nothing's coming out of the card here, and making sure that nothing's sticking. Okay. And then for this bottom part here, dimensionals again. And that there is the inside of my card. Quite a busy card, but I think there's quite a lot going on there, and it's a bit of a wow on the inside as well. So that's that one. Now just to finish up the front right here, we have got these two pieces. So I'm just going to pop some dimensionals on. How do I want to do it? So I stamped the wishes. You can stamp whatever sentiment you've got on there. So wishes, and then birthday, happy birthday on the inside. Like that. So yes, I'm going to do this way around. Some dimensionals on the frame. And then stick that on centrally. Stick that on the front. Like so. And then I reckon what we can do is we can then sit this inside just on some glue. And then just use this butterfly, and then we will then stick that little feather with some glue down the bottom center of his body down here. And that's the front of that card. So keep that quite simple on the front. Again, when you've got something so wow on the inside, I wouldn't spend too much time on the front, but obviously it's going to be displayed either like that, or as I open it up, you then get this wow on the inside, and it can be displayed like that as well. So obviously it will, and if you can either display it, I suppose get them to display it like that, or if it's on your if it's on your mantelpiece like this, all of this here can be seen, and they can see that there's some kind of mechanism and pop up on the inside, and that's that card right there for you. So what do you think? Are you feeling confident enough to give that one a try yourself? And so do remember the measurements were in centimetres and on inches, which popped up on the screen, so you can go back and then craft along with me if you want. So pause, rewind as many times as you want. and work out how you can do this yourself. But everything has been worked out that works in centimetres and inches. I've done both of them, and they both work for you. So there we have it. I hope you have enjoyed that project. I've really enjoyed making that card for you today, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it too. But yeah, just look at that. You could do all sorts of this, couldn't you? I've kept the decoration simple and sort of simple for you. But you can do whatever you want. Just follow that mechanism. A pop-up is a pop-up in the end. You can do whatever you want. Make it your own and decorate it. Hope you've enjoyed that as much as I've enjoyed making it for you as well. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back with you again on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for our regular live video. But if we don't see you then, we will be back next Friday again for another Fun Fold Friday video tutorial. But in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye.